All right. So finding your comfortable seat, cross-legged, kneeling. We're going to be focusing on back bends today. So starting with the idea of creating or encouraging some of the natural curve in the spine. You might even kind of lift and move your sits bones a little bit further back behind you so that you free up your tailbone. There should be a sense of you're not sitting on your tailbone, that it's kind of wagging free, that if you actually had a tail, it could do that. Bringing your hands to rest on the tops of your thighs. And you can place your palms face up or face down. Face down is a little more on the grounding side. Face up is more receptive. Line the shoulders up gently over top of your hips. So we're stacking our bones, and you'll feel the moment where everything is lining up, where you don't have to work so hard to stay upright. Take a breath and draw your shoulders up towards your ears, and then start to pull them down the back and towards one another, broadening through the front of your body. We'll do it really, really slow. We're gonna do that just a few more times. Inhale, pull the shoulders up so it starts to feel like there's a lot of tension around your neck. And then exhale out through your mouth as you continue that circle all the way back and down. One more time. With this one, we're gonna round through the upper back. So see if you can widen the space between your shoulder blades. Now the tailbone will scoop a little bit underneath of you, and you're gonna feel the front of your abdominal wall kind of engaging. And then start to lift up, lift your chest, lift your shoulders, let your tailbone wag back behind you, and drop the shoulders down the back. Now this time we're gonna sweep the arms out and up. Bring your palms to press above your head, lengthening the sides of your waist as you reach up through your fingertips. And then as you exhale, bend your elbows into the shape of a cactus, like you were making a 90-degree angle with both of your arms. And then curl the center of your chest forward and up. Tilt your elbows forward and take your gaze up. Remember that tailbone should still be free. You're letting that kind of move back behind you. Keep the chest lifted, bring your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, reach your knuckles down towards the floor, and spread out your collarbones. So there's a sense of widening or broadening through the front of your body. You might even be able to bring your knuckles to touch the floor. You don't have to force it, this is just an idea of where you can head. And then release the hands all the way down in front of you. If you're sitting on a block, go ahead and move that out to the side. And let's come into a child's pose. And child's pose is going to be a setup for our puppy pose. So rather than keeping your feet separate, or rather than bringing your feet together, you're going to keep your feet separate. Toes are going to curl under. You're lining up your hips over top of your knees, and then you're starting to slide your arms forward. Forearms will come to rest on the floor, but you want to walk them far enough forward that it starts to feel like there's a lengthening or a pulling or a tautening at that space at the underneath of your armpit. Let your forehead drop down, and then lift your sits bones way up towards the sky. Tighten your belly muscles. So Tim, move your hips forward, move your arms forward. Yeah, looking good, guys. Use your breath here. So there's a deep breath in to kind of expand up the back of your body. We want to call this kind of fluffing the loins, which is the spot on either side of your lower back. It's also a part of your core. And then as you exhale, dropping the center of your chest and your forehead, finding a softening. We're going to take 3 more breaths like this. Take a breath in up the back of your body. Feel the expansion. And then as you exhale, keep the expansion of the back body, but soften through the front body. Tip that tailbone way up towards the sky. Last big breath in. Wrap the outer part of your arm down, like you were trying to deepen your armpit. Now press down into your forearms to lift them up. You're going to press into your palms, roll forward to a tabletop pose. So your shoulders are now stacked over top of your wrists, hips over top of your knees. Let your belly drop down towards the floor. Let your tailbone lift. Traction your hands back to pull your heart forward for cow pose. And then exhale to round. Tailbone tucks towards the floor. Space between the shoulder blades widens. Belly button pulls back up and in. So we're starting to find our bandhas. The pelvic floor lifts, and the space between the navel and the pubic bone draws back up and in. Let's let the belly drop again. So moving from cat to cow, we're moving really, really slow and intentionally. So we can find what feels almost like the punctuation mark of the full capacity of the shape before we move to the other shape. So we find the opposites. And then fill the shape itself with a little bit of breath. You'll know you're working too hard if you come to that end spot and you feel like you're gritting your teeth and you can't quite breathe all the way. One last round. If you wanted to add in other movements this time, you can. A little wag of your hips, a bend of one elbow and then the other. These are just a few suggestions, but this is your chance to wiggle around a little bit, to fidget, to get into the stuck places in the body. And then come to a neutral spine. So neutral spine doesn't mean flat back necessarily. We always have a little curve, but we want to close off through the front body a little bit so we feel the support of the lower abs. Curl your toes under, start to lift your knees off of the floor, and very, very slowly start to unwind to downward dog. So hips are lifting up and back, and heels are pressing down towards the floor. So for this first one, we'll work with straight legs. And I want you to pedal in place without bending your knees. So you're kind of tilting your weight towards one leg and the other with your legs straight, which means that your hips are really what's doing the moving. And there's still that really strong engagement of your lower belly up and in towards your spine. Let those hips wiggle a little bit side to side. And then bring the weight equally to both of your feet. Bend your knees, lift your hips way up, sits bones way up, which is going to create more of a curve in your lower back. Press into all 10 of your fingers. Stay high on the balls of the feet so that you feel that big arch in your spine. And then start to roll forward until you come into a high plank pose with your shoulders stacked over top of your wrists. Always the option to bring these down if you'd like. Reach from your head to your heels. So finding a little bit of length through your spine and the backs of your legs. At the same time, the opposing action of tractioning your hands and your feet towards one another turns on your lower belly. So see if you can find both of those actions happening at once. And then exhale, elbows hug in and back. We lower all the way down to the belly. Take your time for 3, 2, and 1. It brings you all the way down to the floor. Slide your hands out to the side so you're up on your fingertips and your elbows are lining up directly over top of your wrists. Press down into the tops of your feet and your pubic bone and start to curl up into a cobra pose. So soften the shoulders down and away from the ears. Bring weight back into your legs and then pull your fingers back to draw your chest forward. Look forward. Take one more big breath in, breathing all the way up into your chest. And then exhale, lower all the way back down to your forehead. Hands come next to your shoulders and you might press to child's pose or you might press to the top of a push-up. Curl your toes under, take a big breath in to prepare. And then exhale either straight up and straight back to downward dog or hips to heels and then sides of the waist up and back. Walk your hands all the way back to your feet. So you're at the back of your mat in a forward fold. Bending your knees so that your rib cage rests on your thighs. And either reaching for opposite elbows or if it feels better to traction out your cervical spine, hands may come to the back of your head. Let your elbows drop down towards the floor either way. Let your neck and your shoulders relax so you're not holding yourself up at all. Maybe take a little sway side to side. Nice. Notice where the breath moves. So most of us have a tendency to breathe just into the chest. Let the breath drop down into your abdomen. Let it get into the space of your pelvis. One more breath, a little movement side to side before releasing your hands down. Keeping that little bit of a bend in your knees, start to roll up your spine, one vertebra at a time, coming all the way up to stand. Head and shoulders, the last things to arrive all the way up. And then take up some space with your arms. Sweep the arms all the way out and up and bring your palms to press above your head. Exhale, elbows will bend into the shape of a cactus. So you've got the elbows the height of the shoulders. Squeeze those legs together, firm everything up, and then tilt your elbows forward, lift your chest up. You might even imagine that the tips of your shoulder blades are kind of plugging in underneath the back of your chest to encourage that action. Keep those legs strong and engaged as you open, open, open through your front body. Start to take your gaze up and back. And you're using your breath to create this rush of wave action. Inhale to rise up, exhale to press down into the feet. Last round of breath. Inhale, arms reach all the way back up to frame your ears. Interlace all but your forefinger, cross your thumbs. If the legs aren't touching, bring them to touch. Lift up and out of the side body, and then exhale, take the arms over towards the right, pressing out through your left hip.
Left shoulder draws back, so you're creating more of an S curve in your spine. Again, inhale, reach up. And without completely collapsing into that side body, you're going over to the side. If you start to feel like your left foot comes off of the floor, press it back down again. Try to bring equal weight into both of your feet, and front and back of feet. Last round of breath. Inhale, arms reach all the way back up again. Reset, arms back, elbows in. Reach up through that pointer finger, and then take it to the opposite side.
Nice. Really, really nice form. Frontal hip points lift towards the base of your ribs.
Inhale to draw it all the way back to center. Find that back bend again. So elbows bend into the shape of a cactus, hips forward, curl open, curl up, gaze up. And then arms reach back up to frame your ears. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. Hands to release to frame your feet. Find your half lift, and we're gonna find the back bend in this. So you're working to look slightly forward, bend your knees a little bit, and poke your sits bones towards the sky so that you start to feel a little bit more of that lower back curve. Draw the shoulder blades gently down and together, and see if you can draw the center of your chest forward like there was a little string attached. Then exhale, release your forehead and your ribs all the way back down onto your thighs. We're gonna find that Ardha Uttanasana, that half lift again. Slide the hands up to the base of the kneecaps. Find that half lift. Knees bend, sits bones way up, chest forward, collarbones spread. And then release, hands all the way back down to the floor. Plant your palms next to your feet and take a giant step back with your left foot so that you're landing in a lunge. Left foot steps all the way to the back of your mat. Let your back knee come all the way down to the floor. Untuck your back toes and then press down into your foot and your shin to lift up. Hands come to the front of that front thigh. A little bit of a scissor action. So left inner thigh hugs forward. Keep pressing your right big toe forward so that you're getting a bigger stretch across the back quadricep, across that back psoas muscle. And then as you press down, see if you can move your shoulders back so that they're lining up with your hips. A little bit more of that squeeze, especially your left booty is really, really working. Then you're gonna work to bring your arms up to create a frame for yourself. Reach for your left elbow with your right hand, for your right elbow with your left hand. Elbows move back and then lift up. So that lift of the elbows is going to help you from dumping down into the pelvis. I want you to imagine that the sides of the body were getting inches longer. Then if you want to add a little bit more back bend, curling the gaze up towards the sky. Remember to keep those legs working. Left inner thigh keeps scissoring forward. One more big breath in. Open, open, open. And then exhale, release your hands all the way down to frame your front foot. Slide your right leg straight back behind you to the height of your hip. So you're going to keep your left knee down, right foot lifts to the height of the hip, right toes are facing the floor. Press into those hands, and then bend your right knee like you could place the foot on the ceiling. You want to keep that right hip facing down, and you're going to press the foot way up as you curl your gaze forward, almost like we were doing with our cat-cow pose earlier. Belly drops, chest pulls forward, heel lifts way up towards the sky. I want you to feel it in your glutes, so keep lifting that right foot until you feel your right glute really squeeze. And then curl the right knee in towards your nose, round through your upper back. Maybe the nose and the knee actually touch. Maybe your right heel touches your right glute. Same action again. Unfurl, right heel towards the sky. Hands pull back, chest pulls forward. Arms are straight and strong, so elbows hug in tight. Same action again, like you were moving through mud or water. Make it slow so that you're really activating as many stabilizer muscles as possible. Last time, kick that heel way up and back. Imagine that the back of your head could touch your toes. Even if you're far from it, I know I am. Last big breath in, reach it up, reach, reach, reach. And then curl your left toes under and extend your right leg up and back. So now you're in downward facing dog with your right knee lifted way up towards the sky. Downward facing dog, right knee lifted way, way, way up. Actively energize that right knee towards the sky. Circle your right knee forward a few times. Bring both feet all the way down to the floor and ripple forward through your spine, coming into your high plank pose. And then exhale again, we lower all the way onto the belly. Elbows hug in tight. Slide the hands off of the mat, fingers facing forward, elbows and wrists line up. Press the feet down to curl open into your upper back bend. So try to keep a little bit of that closing off of those front 2 ribs, and then traction the hands back to draw the chest forward. Legs stay engaged, so lift up on your kneecaps. One more big breath in. Exhale, lower all the way back down to your forehead. Hands next to the shoulders, either press to child's pose or the top of a push-up. It's your option. Either transition is absolutely fine. Hips back, downward facing dog. Take your left leg back behind you. Lift your left knee up to the height of your hip. Reach the heel back like a touch whatever wall is behind you, and see if you can help start to take some of the weight out of your arms. So pressing into your 10 fingers, especially pointer finger and thumb, and then lengthening the sides of the waist up and back. Now curl the left knee in towards your nose, roll forward, step that left foot all the way up in between your hands. Let your back knee come all the way down to the floor. Press down, hands to that front thigh. So the work here, we're getting deep on this first round since we're taking our time. That scissor action of the inner thighs, keep that. So that action creates stability in the joint space. We want to make sure that we're not collapsing into places where we tend to be overly mobile. And then we're leaning those hips forward. Press that left big toe forward. Option to keep those hands where they are. I know for me it gives me that really, really nice juicy stretch on the back leg. If you wanted to add a little bit more in the way of balance, arms up, this time take your left hands to your right elbow, right hand to your left elbow. So make your frame, make the center of your palm a little mitt for the ball of your elbow joint. Elbows move back, elbows move up. Hips keep pressing forward as you start to rise, up and out of the sides of the body into the upper back bend. And then fill the shape with your breath for 3. We're here for longer, so you have the time to really carve out your full expression for 2. Last big breath in, open and lift. And then exhale, hands release down to frame that front foot. This time we'll step forward. So step your right foot to meet your left foot. Find your half lift, hands slide to the shin bones, halfway up. And then exhale, drape your belly onto your thighs and relax. Now really feel your feet on the floor, spread the toes out, lift up on your kneecaps and your lower belly. Keep that spine neutral as you rise all the way to stand. Arms sweep up to frame your ears, palms come to press. And then exhale your elbows into that bent elbow shape, find your cactus. Press your hips forward, curl open and up through your chest. Remember that back bends are progressive, so we can start to move a little bit more. Breath is key. Inhale to find that wave action, that curl open and up. Exhale to feel the reach back down, the strength of the legs and the foundation to support you. One more round of breath. Inhale, arms reach all the way back up again. Interlace your fingers, elbows move back. Lean it over towards the right, so finding Ardha Chandrasana or half moon pose. Pressing out through that left hip. Taking left shoulder back. Squeezing thighs together as you reach. Inhale back to center, switch to the second side. Press out through the right hip, arms reach up and over. Remember that left side body, we don't want to get those rolls on the left side. You want to try to keep lengthening up and out. So you still have that side bend, but the left side body isn't getting collapsed. Inhale back to center, add the back bend, hips forward, elbows bend, curl open and up through the chest. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. Find your half lift. Plant your palms. This time it's the right foot that steps all the way back. So step the right foot back. Lower your back knee. Maybe you're putting hands on that front thigh, or maybe this time you're going straight up. Arms reach up, finding your opposite elbow clasp. Now let's do a really quick look back, and I know this can change our balance a little bit, but I want you to make sure that that back foot isn't turning in or out. And I promise that this isn't being just nitpicky. You want your whole leg to be one extension. When your ankle's doing something funny, it means your knee and your hip are doing something funny as well. So your toes are straight back behind you. Nice adjustments. Arms reach up. Find that frame. Remember to traction that front foot forward as you reach up and over. You shouldn't feel this a lot in the lower back, so if you start to, it means that maybe you're going a little further than you need to. Last big breath in. Exhale, hands release all the way down to frame your front foot. Take that left leg straight back behind you, and then lift your left foot as if you could press it on the ceiling. Remember to look down the line of your body. There's a tendency for that hip to roll open. We're gonna do that later. So keep your left hip facing down towards the floor. That hip should be pointing down, the knee should be pointing down. And then really curl up. So feel the back of your left glute, the back of your left hamstring engage. Traction your hands back. Draw your chest forward, draw your gaze up, lean your head back. Lift that foot up a little bit higher. If the leg is quaking, you're doing it right. Then curl in, knee to nose. Take your time to round. Maybe your nose and your knee actually touch. Pull your left heel in towards your left glute. And then re-extend. Take that left heel sky high. Flex the foot, hands pull back. Create that pull forward in your chest. And then curl the knee in towards your nose and round it out. One last round. Take that foot sky high. Biggest one yet. Imagine that you could do it. Your head and your heel are going to touch, and it's going to happen. Pressing down to straighten those arms. Chest is really what we feel the opening in, and then we feel that glute working. And then curl your right toes under and extend the left leg up and back. And now the left hip can open. Try to keep pulling your right hip crease back though. There can be a tendency to kind of dump into the right side of the body. We don't want to cheat ourselves. So right hip and right heel pull back as the left knee lifts up. Circle that left knee forward. Nice work. Release your left foot all the way down to the floor. Roll forward through your spine. Find that nice articulation, one vertebra at a time, high plank pose. Exhale. One last time, we're gonna lower all the way down on a count of 5, 4. Keep the belly toned, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it all the way down. Hands off of your mat. Fingers facing forward. Line up those elbows with the wrists and open into your back bend. I want you to feel the work of your legs. So press those feet down, lift up on your kneecaps, curl the chest forward and up, forward and up, forward and up. Should never be painful. So find the spot for you that works. Exhale, release all the way back down. Either top of a push-up or child's pose, and then we meet in downward facing dog. Use the exhale. I know some people teach it the other way. For me, the exhale feels like the best way to get that like powerful oomph. Inhale, right leg goes back. Take your right leg up to the height of your hip. Keep the hip facing down, reach the heel back. Then curl the right knee in towards your nose, round the shoulder blades. Take a giant step forward, right foot all the way up in between your hands, back knee down to the floor. Rise up into your Anjaneyasana variation. Remember to scissor that back thigh in to make sure those back toes, that ankle is an extension of the rest of your leg. So you've got your frame, and then you're lifting up, curling open. Breathing for 3. Focusing on the fullness of your exhale. That is going to help you feel calm, as challenged as you might be. 2. Last big breath in. Exhale, release. Hands come all the way back down to frame that front foot. We step forward to the top of the mat. So coming into our half lift. Hands to the shin bones. Exhale, release, forward folds. Root down to rise up. So feel your feet on the floor, the legs engage, arms sweep all the way up. Palms come to press. And then exhale to your back bend. Elbows bend, hips forward, chest lifts. We're going to go through that sequence again, just a little bit faster, but if my words don't match your movement, don't feel rushed. Inhale, arms up. Interlace all but your forefinger, cross your thumbs. Side bend to the right, gaze to the left. Inhale back to center, switch it out second time. So this time we let it flow. We find the breath synced with movement. Inhale back to center, exhale back bend, hips forward, curl open, curl up. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. Inhale, half lift, hands to shin bones. Exhale, plant palms, step the left foot all the way back. Find your lunge and then lower the knee. Sweep those arms all the way up. Find your opposite elbow clasp. One long breath in to add the back bend. Exhale, hands release all the way down to frame your front foot. Take your right leg straight back behind you, heel towards the sky. Curl open, curl up. Exhale, knee to nose, round it out. Inhale, extend. And exhale, squeeze. Last round. Lift that foot right up towards the sky. This time, reach back with your left hand. Maybe you're catching the top of the foot. Kicking the foot into the hand, but keeping that hip facing down. And then curling the chest forward. Looking forward. Lift that foot up a little bit higher. One more big breath in. And then release that back foot, hands to the floor. Curl your left toes under. Right leg goes sky high. Circle that right knee forward. Now, option to stay in downward dog or come to child's pose. I know we have a few folks in this class today who are dealing with shoulder injuries. There is such a thing as diminishing returns. So don't do the chaturanga if it's going to cause you pain or injury. Otherwise, roll forward to high plank pose. This time, maybe just lowering halfway down. Elbows hug in, come halfway down. Press back to come into upward dog. Arms straight, hips off of the floor. Traction, hands back. Curl open through your chest. Widen through your collarbones. And then roll over your toes and send the hips back to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg goes back behind you. Exhale, curl left knee in, step left foot through. Bring back knee all the way down to the floor. Press down to rise up. Remember, hands can land on that back thigh, it's a better option. Otherwise, finding that opposite elbow clasp and open through your front body. Hands release all the way down to the floor. Step forward to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise all the way up. Arms sweep up to frame the ears. Exhale to your back bend. Hips forward, chest up. Inhale, reach back up again. Clasp the hands. Ardha Chandrasana, bend to the right. Inhale to center and bend to the left. Inhale to center. Maybe this time, instead of bending your elbows, keep those hands clasped. Hips forward and up. Chest curls forward and up. Arm bones reaching up and back. Keep the little bit of squeeze in your glutes. Exhale, fold all the way back down to the floor. Inhale, half lifts. Hands down. This time, right foot steps back. Right foot steps all the way back. Lower the back knee. Rise up. Find your opposite elbow clasp. Hands release down. Take your left leg straight back behind you. Lift the foot as if you could place it on the ceiling. When we start to feel it in the lower back, it means you're not working the leg enough. So squeeze the left glute and hamstring. Kick the foot up. Curl the chest forward. Look up. Exhale, knee to nose. Round it out. Inhale, extend. Reach the heel up. Exhale, hug in. Last one. Kick that heel way out towards the sky. Option if you'd like, take your time, come up onto your right fingertips. Recalibrate the balance on the hand and knee that are still on the floor. See if you can catch the top of your left foot with your right hand. Left hip stays facing down, and you're kicking the foot way up, keeping your gaze moving forward. Breathing for 3, feel the opening across your right collarbone. Breathing for 2, feel the squeeze in your left glute. Last big breath in, full open. And then without bringing the foot back down to the floor, release your right hand. Curl your right toes under and take it all the way up and back. Left foot comes down to the floor. Roll forward to high plank pose. Again, the option is here. Otherwise, feel free to rest for a moment in child's pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Press back. Come to upward dog. And then roll over the toes. Send those hips back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg goes back behind you. Lift it to the height of your hip. Exhale, knee in towards your chest. Step your right foot through. Back knee lowers. Arms reach up. One last time, that opposite elbow clasp. Make your frame. Hands release all the way down to frame your front foot. Step it forward. Feet hips width distance. Find your half lift. And release to your forward folds. Inhale, sweep those arms all the way out and up. Bring your palms to press. And exhale, hands come down in front of your heart. Just for a moment, be still with your eyes closed. See if you can soften the outer layer of your body. So imagine that your skin became a little looser. And your muscles soften away from your bones. See if you can find that around your glutes and your eyes, your quads. Take a big breath in through your nose and give it an open mouth exhale. Again, breathe in and breathe out. Bring your feet to touch now. We're going to come to Utkatasana pose. From here on out, know that you always have the option to skip the vinyasa, which is the Chaturanga to upward dog. Squeeze those inner thighs together, sink your hips low and back. Let your fingertips drape all the way down towards the floor. So that's how low and back you can go with your hips. And when you look down at your feet, I want you to be able to see all 10 of your toes and maybe even be able to lift the balls of the feet up. So the weight is really driving towards your heels. Keep that squeeze in your glutes as you sweep your arms up. And you might bring your palms to cross here. Here's another spot where you can opposite elbow clasp. It's a really nice shape. You find the way that the body is kind of meant to fit itself. But keep your gaze moving forward rather than down towards the floor. I know it's tempting for the neck to not want to be involved. If your arms start to get tired, bring your hands in front of your chest. 3 more breaths. See if you can sink a little bit lower into those legs. The legs are quivering. That's good news. Just make sure you're still breathing. For 3. Sides of the waist lengthen. So from the hip to the underneath of the armpit, get a little longer. For 2. On 1, exhale, hands release all the way down to the floor. You might practice a step or a jump back. I prefer a jump back to a bent knee down dog. Plant your palms, come up onto the balls of the feet. Spring those legs back, bend your knees. And then roll forward through your spine to your high plank pose. Again, you can stay in that downward facing dog if you'd like. So from your downward facing dog, we're going to try what we were doing earlier with the left knee down. I want you to take your right leg sky high. Keep your right hip facing down towards the floor. Now look forward to start with. So that heel is lifting up and the head is lifting up. And you're kind of curling your chest forward, but you're keeping your hips moving back. Then curl your knee in towards your chest, roll forward, knee to nose. Press and widen through your upper back. Inhale, extend that right leg sky high. Look forward. Exhale, hug in. One last time. Inhale. Reach that right heel towards the sky, but keep the right hip facing down so you feel in the back of your booty. Here's where we get a little wild and crazy, so don't feel like you have to do this. But here's an option. This is called elephant pulling its own tail. So you're going to calibrate with your right hand and your left foot on the floor. To start with, you might just be lifting your palm of your left hand off the bat. So that's option 1. Option 2, left hand actually lifts. Then take your time, reach back and see if you can catch the top of your right foot with your left hand. And then kick the foot into the hand. Look forward, keep driving those hips back. Whew. Even the challenge is kind of fun to play with. Yeah. The slower you move, the easier it's going to be. Left hand is reaching back, catching the top of the right foot, and then you're kicking the foot into the hand. Okay, let's stop that. Curl that right knee in towards your chest. Step your right foot forward. Now everyone's like, enough of that already. All right, we're going to come into high lunge pose this time. So keep that front knee bent. Sweep those arms all the way up to frame your ears. Bend your elbows into the shape of a cactus and bring your right elbow underneath of your left elbow. So some of us might be reaching for opposite shoulders, or some of us might be binding the hands into our full Garudasana or eagle. Scissor that left inner thigh forward. Squeeze your left glute and bend into your right knee. Now thumbs move away from your face, elbows move away from your chest. Open up into those shoulders. Keep bending that front knee, fire up your back leg. See if you can line your shoulders up over top of your hips. For 3. For 2. On 1, you're going to slide that back foot in. You might need to take a few steps, but we're working to get to full Garudasana. So you might take a step or 2, or it's just one big step, and that left knee comes over top of the right knee. Don't worry if you lose your balance on the way. Just do the best that you can. So that back knee comes all the way up and over. Scoop your tailbone slightly down towards the floor and bend into your standing leg a little bit. If the toes don't tuck, don't worry, don't force it. Keep moving those elbows up. Breathing for 3, sink a little lower. Breathing for 2, nice work. On 1, unwind your arms first. Keep the legs like they are. And we're gonna do what's called a power curtsy. So getting into those glutes a little bit more. Left knee draws in towards your chest. You're gonna skate the left leg. I'll turn this way so you can see it more. You're gonna skate the left leg all the way over to the right. Then the knees bend and the hips drop back. Chest is moving forward. So you should feel it a lot on the outside of that right booty. Hips are moving back, chest is moving forward. Bend that front knee, get a little lower. One more big breath in, and a big breath out. Inhale, arms up, step the feet together for Utkatasana pose. Drop the pelvis low and back, bring your hands to touch above your head, lift your chest, look forward. Sink a little bit lower into those thighs. One more big breath in. Exhale, hands to the floor, vinyasa or not. We're kneading in downward dog, so you can get there however you'd like. All right, so when you arrive in downward dog, no rush if you're still moving there. Left leg lifts up sky high. Remember that left hip stays facing down, so I want you to feel your glute, left glute squeeze, back of left hamstring squeeze. Curl your chest forward slightly. Keep lifting that left heel towards the sky, but keep reaching your right heel down towards the mat. Now curl the knee in towards your chest, roll forward so the upper back is rounded. Squeeze your heel towards your glute, your knee towards your nose. Send the leg all the way up and back. Keep that hip facing down. Chest curls forward, but hips keep driving back. Lift that foot up a little bit higher until you feel a little bit of a quivery action happening. And then curl the knee in towards your chest and roll forward. Heel towards glute, knee towards nose, press and rounds. Last one, take that heel straight up and back. Remember that you're gonna see if you can come up onto your right fingertips. So that might be all that you do today. If you traction your left hand and right foot towards one another, it will help. Maybe you're lifting your right hand off of the floor. Maybe you're reaching back and catching the top of that opposite foot with your hands, kicking the foot into the hand. This is super challenging, so don't worry about it if you don't get it today, just try. Release the foot if you have it. Curl that knee in towards your chest, roll forward, step the left foot all the way through. Press down to rise up. Arms reach up. Bend your elbows into the shape of a cactus once you arrive. Bend into your front knee. Reach through your back heel and squeeze your right inner thigh forward. Bring your left elbow underneath of your right elbow. Wind the arms up. Thumbs away from the face, elbows away from the chest. Keep bending into that front knee as you open through the shoulders. Finding that steady gaze and then softening where you can soften so that not everything is held in the pose. All right, we're gonna try to come all the way to Garudasana. So maybe it takes a few steps, or maybe you're just gliding those right toes in and over, seeing if you can cross at your knees. Remember that the toes don't have to tuck. So if the toes aren't tucking because it hurts your knee, don't force it. Scoop your tailbone, move your shoulders back so that they're over top of your hips. Sink a little lower into your thighs. Squeeze the outsides of your glutes. Move your thumbs away from your face, your elbows away from your chest, open those shoulders. Slow, steady breath, easy gaze. So we're not boring holes into something as if we could catch it on fire. Sink just a little bit lower. Remember, the legs stay like they are, the arms unwind. Bring the arms up above the head, and then curl that right knee in towards your chest. Take the giant step back to the opposite side of the mat. So right foot steps to the left. Bend your knees, sink your hips back, and move your chest forward. This feels pretty juicy, pretty good on the outside of that left hip. So a little bit lower. Arms reach back, chest moves forward. Nice work. Tammy, lift your chest just a little bit. That's it, beautiful. One more big breath in. Stay for the exhale. Inhale, draw that foot back to meet the left foot. Hips sink low, you're in Utkatasana pose. And then exhale, forward fold. Hands come all the way down to the floor. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, plant your palms, and this time we're gonna come all the way down to the belly. So however that transition makes sense to you, we're gonna come all the way down onto the floor. All right, let's take the left arm forward, like you were karate chopping the floor. So the pinky edge of your left hand is on the mat. Then from here, you're gonna reach back with your right hand. Catch the inside of your right foot. This is gonna be so much easier if you had to do it in downward facing dog. Draw your knees in together, so if that right knee is kicking out to the side, bring it back. Start to kick your right foot into your right hand, which is gonna lift your chest a little bit. For now, karate chop the floor with that left hand. Press the left toes into the mat. So you're just kicking your right foot back. Hips press down. Then from here, lift your left hand off of the floor. Lift your left foot. Reach the hand and the foot in opposing directions. Kick the right foot into the hand, lift a little bit higher. Steady breath. So you're only lifting as far as you can still breathe. For 4. Lift a little bit higher. For 3. Kick the foot into the hand. 2. Last big inhale. And then exhale, release. Hands underneath of your forehead, both legs behind you. Just imagine that you took like the most amazing nap and you're like, oh, I'm just waking up from that. That was great. Whole body, just like putty. Let your head turn a little bit side to side. You might even feel the beat of your heart all the way down in your abdomen. Now take your right arm forward, pinky edge of your hand, karate chopping the floor. Left hand reaches back, catch the inner edge of the foot. Draw your knees towards one another, so knees are parallel rather than that left knee kicking out to the side. Start by keeping your right hand and your right foot down. Kick the left foot back. You're only kicking it, this isn't at the expense of your knee. If your knee starts to hurt, maybe just draw that left heel in towards left glute. So curling open through your chest, press all 5 of your right toes down, karate chop the floor, lift a little bit higher. Lift that left knee a little bit higher. Now lift your right hand, lift your right foot. Maybe you're lifting your whole rib cage off of the mat. Kick the foot into the hand, lift a little bit higher. That kickback is gonna help you to lift a little bit more. Fill it with breath for 5. Soften your neck for 3. For 2. Last big inhale, lift as much as you can. And then exhale, release, hands underneath of your forehead. Let your hips relax. Maybe wobble your hips a little bit side to side. Enjoy the ease after the effort. Breathe into your lower belly, feel it expand against the floor. And breathe out through your mouth. You can even give it a little sound. One more like that. Now you're gonna bend both of your knees. Flex your feet. Reach back with your hands for the tops of your feet or for the outsides of your ankles. If you're really open through your upper back, you might start to slide your hands down onto your shins. Draw your knees in so that they're parallel. Press your hips down. Start to kick your feet or your shin bones into your hands. Start to lift your knees. Keep them pulling in towards one another. Kick the feet back. And then kick the feet up. 5 deep breaths. So we're finding something that we can stay steady with. If you're working so hard that you're like wanting to shoot daggers at me, don't work so hard. 4 more breaths. 3, 2, and 1. Exhale everything to the floor, everything to the mat. Hands next to your shoulders. Press your hips back to your heels, this time with your knees together and your toes curled under, so that you can then reach back with your hands and catch your heels. Rabbit pose. So for rabbit, yeah, my Bikram yogis know this. You're gonna bring your gaze down towards your knees or towards your chest. And you're lifting your hips off of your heels. Bring the top of your head onto the floor, but keep holding onto your ankles because that's gonna keep you from putting a lot of weight on the crown of your head. So top of the head is just barely resting on the floor, and you're lifting your hips up, widening the space between your shoulder blades. Top of the head just barely resting on the mat. One more big breath in. And a big breath out. Bring your hands next to your shoulders and let's roll into a seated position. So come into a kneeling position with your eyes closed for a moment. Let your eyes close. If kneeling is not super comfortable for you, you can sit cross-legged. But if you can stay kneeling, you're sitting on your heels, you're bringing your hands to the tops of your thighs. We're gonna do just a little bit of breath work. So we've done a lot of stimulating work. Back bends tend to really drive up the energy. We're gonna practice a little bit of alternate nostril breathing before we come down onto our backs. So placing your pointer finger and your middle finger on the center of your palm. It's the right hand that we're using. And then you're gonna turn that hand so it's facing you. Breathe in through both of your nostrils, sit up nice and tall. And then with your thumb, press your right nostril down and exhale through your left nostril. You can watch me as long as you need to get the idea, but once you get the idea, go ahead and close your eyes. Inhale through your left nostril. Close the left nostril with your ring finger and hold. Pause for a moment. Upper body stays relaxed, but your pelvic floor and your lower belly muscles draw in and back. So we're finding our lower bandhas this time. See if you can take your inward gaze to the space between your brows and imagine pulling energy up the spine to that spot. Now open your left nostril and exhale. Inhale through your left nostril. Close the left nostril, find your bandhas again, pelvic floor, lower belly. This time we'll add the throat chakra, chin tucks to chest. Pull the chin back and in. Pause with that inward gaze up towards the space between your brows. Lift the chin, exhale through your right nostril. So you've got the idea. I'm going to talk a lot less and I'll just guide you, but see if you can find those 3 locks every time we're holding our breath. Inhale through your right. Close the right nostril, hold, find your bandhas, soften. Open up and exhale through your left. You can release those locks, release the bandhas. Inhale through your left. Close the left nostril, hold, find your bandhas. Open the right nostril, exhale. Inhale right. Close and hold. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close and hold. Exhale right. We're going to do one more round on our own. Don't worry too much about it. Just do the best you can. A round is an inhale and an exhale on both sides. When you've completed your last round, just let your hands come to rest on the tops of your thighs and close your eyes for a moment. Let your eyes blink open. Walk your hands forward and let's come into tabletop pose so that you can cross your right knee over top of your left knee. Let's take all of the energy that we've created today and tether it a little bit. So right knee over top of left knee. And you're gonna walk your feet wide enough that you can sink your hips down either onto your mat or all the way onto a block. If neither of those options is available to you, don't stress about it. You can also do this pose on your back. So right knee would cross over top of left knee. You're coming all the way onto your back and you're catching the outer edges of your feet. So I'm seeing a few folks look like they might be struggling. Don't stress about it. It's literally the same pose. So if seated is not an option, come onto your back. Feet up towards your shoulders. For some folks, it might actually give you a lot more access. If you're doing it from seated, right knee over top of left knee, for more sensation, and I will say more sensation isn't always better, but if you're looking for that, your feet are moving away from your hips. And then you're gonna take your right hand and place it in between your shoulder blades. With your left hand, press your right elbow down. So that elbow is lifting way up towards the sky, and you're not letting your ribs flare. You're keeping that close off through your front body. Left hand comes behind the back. If you can find the bind, great. If you can't, just keep that left hand on top of your right elbow. Just know the object isn't the binds or the expressions of the poses are just giving us space to continue to grow our practice. So the end result or the way it looks from the outside is never what we're after. It's just giving us space to continue to kind of progress so that we feel new sensations. So that we can continue to challenge our ability to stay present through the difficulty of something new. Maybe folding gently forward over that leg if you'd like. You want to keep the spine long though, so if you want to round, try to stay lifted at a diagonal. Inhale to lift all the way back up again. Release the hands to the sides and extend your right leg out in front of you. Left foot comes to the inside of your right thigh. If you're on your back, you can rock and roll your way up to a seated position. You're going to come up into Janu Shirshasana, asymmetrical forward fold. So right leg forward, left foot pressing to the inside of the thigh. And if you can, you're pressing your left knee to the mat. Center your belly button over your extended leg and reach your arms up. And then lift and scoot your sits bones, your tailbone back behind you so that you've got a tilt forward in your pelvis. And that way, as you fold, you're folding forward from the crease of your hips rather than from around in your lower back. Don't worry about how far you go. You might catch the outside of your calf, your ankle, your knee. Think about moving the sides of your body, so lengthening from the hip to the base of your ribs. Pull your belly button forward and see if you can lower it closer to the knee. So we're constantly working to lengthen rather than just to kind of bring our forehead down wherever it lands. And if you catch the outside of your foot pretty easily, you might reach for opposite wrists. Close your eyes and focus your awareness on the way that the breath actually changes the shape of the pose, that it gives you space. Start to walk your hands back towards your legs, rolling up your spine, coming into a seated position. And then cross your ankles so you can come back to your tabletop pose to prepare for side number 2. So knees in underneath of your shoulders. This time left knee comes in front of your right knee. And if you did this pose on your back on one side, I recommend doing both sides the same way, unless you're dealing with an injury on one side. So if you're finding you're trying to come back and this side just won't work, then go ahead and come onto your back. So left knee over top of right knee. Feet are moving away from your hips. Feet are flexed. We want to try to make sure that the pinky edge of the foot doesn't sickle, which means you're not letting the pinky edge of the foot turn in. You're trying to pull it out and back. You'll feel that intensify the stretch, and it makes it more of an active stretch. Place your left hand in between your shoulders. Right hand presses that left elbow down. And then if you start to move that hand closer to the space between your shoulder blades, you might be able to bring your right hand around the back and find that clasp. Maybe you're starting to let the body gently lean forward. Remember, there's no rush to the end result. You kind of want to feel the gambit of sensations, maybe even emotions on the ride forward. Inhale to lift all the way back up again, releasing your hands down to the sides and extending your left leg out in front of you. So your left foot, or rather right foot, comes to the inside of your left thigh. Oh man, when we move slow, time moves so fast. Arms reach up, lift and move your sits bones back. I wanted to give you guys one more peak pose, but that's not gonna happen today. Reaching for the outer edges of your calf, ankle, or foot. Remember that you're sliding your sits bones, your tailbone back, and you can kind of keep with that wiggle action for the first few moments so that you're working to lift your ribs up and slide them further forward. Forehead is maybe touching close to the shin, but maybe you're working to bring it closer to the ankle. Very gently walk those hands back towards the legs to roll up your spine. Bring the soles of your feet together and let's come down onto the back. So we don't have long for Shavasana. We're just gonna do one more style of breath work called Dirga breath. If you have blocks, I recommend coming into a little back bend. We've been kind of moving in that direction today, so maybe just encouraging the space we've already made. You can put a block behind your head and a block behind the shoulders. Don't worry if you don't have one though. All you have to do is come down onto your back with your feet touching. So block would be right underneath the tips of your wings and right underneath the back of your head. We're gonna go just like 2 or 3 minutes long. So if you have to go right now, I totally understand. I will not be offended in the least bit if you sign off. So let's start by bringing the hands to the spot where your thigh meets the crease of your hip. And with your hands, you're gonna press that spot forward, which you're gonna feel brings more connection between your feet. Your feet are gonna come in bigger contact. And then at the same time, press the back of your pelvis down into the floor. And then release that and place a hand on your belly, a hand on your chest. We're gonna take 4 rounds of 3-part breath or Dirga breath. So breathe first into your belly and feel your belly really, really expand. Imagine you had a balloon in your stomach. And then exhale all the way back out again. Soften your belly, pulling the navel back towards the spine, closing off through that pelvic floor. Inhale again, breathing into your belly. Now start to let the breath like a wave come up into your ribs, 3-dimensionally. So the front, the back, and the sides of your ribs expand. And then let your ribs soften, let your belly soften, pulling that navel in and back. So there's a sense of really emptying out at the bottom of each breath. Inhale, belly. Breathe up into your ribs. Breathe up to your collarbones. Feel them lift and expand outward. Feel the stretch across your chest. And then exhale, soften your collarbones, your ribs, belly towards spine. Inhale, belly, ribs, collarbones. Exhale, collarbones, ribs, and belly. It shouldn't feel like a lot of work. It should feel very, very rhythmic, almost like the way that water moves. So if you feel like you're forcing something, you don't have to follow what I'm saying. Let your breath take the length of time that keeps tension out of it. 2 more rounds. Let your mind's eye follow the travel of your breath. This last round, we're gonna take it all the way up to the dome of the head. So breathe into your belly, breathe into your ribs, and then imagine your breath washing all the way up into the dome of your skull, and exhale it all the way back out. Maybe let there be a little bit of sound this time. And then if you need a longer Shavasana, you don't have to worry about me. Stay on your back. Otherwise, starting to make your way onto one of your sides in the fetal position. Maybe letting a hand rest underneath of that bottom ear. Pressing yourself all the way up to a seat with your eyes closed so that you can really feel the full effect of what's happening holistically in your body before you engage it in the world. Bring your palms together, lift your thumb knuckles up to the space between your brows and gently fold forward over your mat. Maybe this is your offering of your practice up to the benefit of all beings. And thank you guys so much for practicing with me this afternoon. If you have questions, feel free to pop on and let me know. Otherwise, if you feel like practicing tomorrow, we have a new class on the schedule called a yang to yin practice, and it's basically got a little bit of everything. So a couple of high impact intervals built into a predominantly slow flow vinyasa practice. That first 45-minute sequence ends with a nice juicy core interval, so probably about 5 to 10 minutes of core, and then we have 15 minutes of yin practice. So it's really everything that you need in one single thing. It's an hour long, so hopefully you get to come and join me tomorrow. If not, I'll unmute you guys. And yeah, great job today. And I'll hopefully see you soon.
Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome, Tammy.
Bye.
Great.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it, Blake.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
See you later. Nice job today, Sarah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that extra Sarah F was me.
What's that?
That extra Sarah F was
Oh, they're both you. Do you have it on like a screen above? I was like, wow, that's so crazy that there's 2 Sarah F's on the class today.
There are a lot of Sarahs in the studio, but that was me.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you in class today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
All right, I'll see you. Yep, see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.